Welcome to the Provo Library Podcast. I'm Erika Hill. I'm the Community Relations Manager.
I'm Carla Gordon. I'm the Library Director.
And we are here today with Mariah Lucas,
Hello.
Outreach Librarian Extraordinaire.
Official title.
Yes. I can do that because I'm her boss.
And I'll approve it.
Okay.
Because I'm her boss's boss.
Yeah, there you go. We're excited to have you here today, Mariah.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
Great. Okay, so we have another viewer-submitted question today.
Yay!
And
keep them coming.
yes, all 10 of you. I think that this may be the last one we have. So if you have a question, put it in the comments, or we have a form that we periodically email out. Let us know what we can answer because we love answering questions. So here we go. This one is all about library science programs and becoming a librarian. I feel like we're going to tackle the first half, or rather three-quarters. There's 4 questions. We're going to talk about the first 3,
Okay.
and then we'll go to the last one.
Okay.
So, what is the library science master degree program like? General cost? ? And where did you go to school to get your degree? So, should we open it up? Who wants to go?
I just would like to start out by saying, like, as a librarian, when people come and ask you stuff like that, like, my favorite phrasing, which I get all the time, is there a special school for that? And I was like, sure, it's called a graduate school at a university.
There you go.
So there is.
It's special, but there's lots of options.
There are
It's not
lots of
just
options.
one.
Yeah. There are, I don't know where to tell this story, so maybe I'll just tell it now.
Oh, okay, yes, now is a good time.
Now is a good time.
The story shows how funny I am and how gullible Erika is.
Now we know each other better. It's fine. I started at the library in 2013, and one of the first things I did was we had a book sale. And as our podcast listeners or viewers, you don't know this, but Carla is a physically efficient person. Like you really are. Like she moves very quickly, just does things like really, really efficiently. So we were setting up for this book sale, and setting up for a book sale is kind of an arduous task, and you have to, I think we were taking down a book sale because we were repacking things, and packing a box of children's materials is dumber than you think because they're all different sizes, and trying to make them fit in this box and keep it structurally sound. Anyway, Carla was just moving so much faster than me. I'd never done it before. Maybe that's so like we're across from each other, and she's just moving so fast, and I was like, Carla, you are so fast at this. And just off the cuff, she was like, well, they had a class in it about it in library school. And seriously, like 3 years later, I thought about it. I went, no, they didn't.
For 3 years, she thought there was a book packing class.
Packing.
So
There
you included that in your email yesterday, like a little blurb about it. And I was like, wait, what? Did Carla really learn how to like package books in library school? And then I was like, wait, no, that's a joke. It's a joke.
It was a joke.
It was a joke. It was a joke
yeah.
then. It's a joke
Lasted
now.
so long. Yes.
Still is.
It's still funny.
I still
And
laugh
still
about
hilarious,
it.
yeah.
Seriously, every time.
No, like, I did online school, so I didn't get to pack
that class.
You didn't take the box packing class.
So I went to library school in Washington, the state of Washington, in Seattle at the University of Washington. They have a library school there. And I went in person. I will date myself by saying I was there from 97 to 99. It was like a 2-year program. It was a long time ago. So at the time, I think I spent $20,000 for the degree.
Definitely more than that.
It's definitely more than that now. But I loved it. It was in person. It was like my experience away from home because I am from Utah here. So I loved my program. Well, did I? I did.
You loved the experience.
I loved
of your
the
program.
experience. But because in person, I did 3 different internships. I worked for Seattle Public University. I worked for a CPA firm in their research department, which was fun. It was on like the 25th floor of a downtown. It was.
Nothing about CPA sounds fun to me.
I got to ride this really tall elevator. I felt very grown up.
That is pretty cool.
Right? And then I worked for the hospital at the University of Washington.
Oh,
in
nice.
there. It was, so I like had a lot of different experiences. So I really liked it for that. And I didn't actually like my first term. And then the second term was when I actually got a job and I started working in libraries while I was going to school, and that made all of the difference. Like I could see what they were talking about, I could understand things better, and I ended up having a really good experience and got a job right out of school at the Provo City Library.
Wow.
I've been here my entire professional career.
That's amazing.
It's weird.
I actually didn't know that.
Oh, really?
So, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I knew you had been here a long time.
Well,
but
I was
didn't
going to
know.
be an academic librarian.
Yeah.
That was the dream. But they told me I would never get a job. They were like, jobs are so hard right now. And I was like, well, I'm taking the first job I get. And that was here.
And now you're here.
And I think you
never
initially were like, I'll give it 5 years.
3
3
years. I was
Three.
going to give it 3 years. And then they get claws in you and you never leave.
But yep,
Yeah.
you never did.
I didn't.
You never did.
What's your library school journey?
So I did my degree through Emporia State, and I picked that because it was the cheapest. there aren't any like in-person programs in Utah. So if you are in Utah, you have to do it online. But originally when I applied, Emporia had a Salt Lake cohort, and we were supposed to go like 2 weekends through the semester to meet with our cohort. So I was like, okay, it's like mostly online, but there's like this in-person component that I really liked. But then COVID.
I was going to say, was this
So-
around 2020?
I started my program 2021 and ended in 2023. And so they started to do the in-person class, like the synchronous part, over Zoom. So like a Friday night and a Saturday, like all day I was on Zoom, and it was terrible. It was so bad. Like I would just sit there and just be like, oh my gosh, like I can't stare at my computer anymore.
Yeah.
But they changed it my last semester so that there wasn't any of that. And it was all just like asynchronous things. I think we had to meet like with a group, but not as like the entire class. We had to like meet as a group and like discuss certain things about the class, but we could do that like on our own time. It wasn't like a scheduled thing.
Took you like 2 years?
Yeah, I did it in 6 semesters. So I did like fall, spring, and summer all in a row.
And you did it.
And I did it.
And you were offered the full-time job and graduated, the same week.
I was
big week.
interviewing for the outreach job like during finals week of my very last semester.
And you killed it. I mean, I don't know about finals week, but the interview, so
did
good.
really good.
Killed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got an A-. I got 1 A- that semester.
Oh. Do you know, I went straight through, like I did my undergrad and then my grad like back to back, like just right straight through. And freshman year, I got like some 4.0s. And the longer I was in school, the worse my grades were.
I think you just get over it.
I just was tired but I mean, I always passed my classes and I did pretty good. The kind of classes that I remember most, again, it was several years ago, I could pull out my...
We have people working, not to make you feel even worse about this,
don't.
but we have people working at the library now.
that were born after that. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's true.
Age is funny.
I had a reader's advisory class, I remember, from Nancy Pearl, who is like this reader's advisory. Like she just would
There's
read
an action
everything.
figure.
There is an action figure for Nancy Pearl to teach us how. And I thought I was well read until I took that class. And then they were like just throwing out authors and titles. And I'm like, what about Jack Wayland? Anyways.
I bet they didn't know Jack Wayland.
They did not know Jack Wayland. But it was really cool. And it got me into reading a lot of different things. So that was fun. There was management. There was some like HTML stuff that, are they still I tried to
I think
avoid
they still.
those.
I think they still do require some kind of web design component.
Yeah, I had to take a technology class, and there were 3 different options. I can't remember what the other 2 were, but I did web design and development and like made my own website using HTML and
so fun.
something else. It was fun. It was cool.
Really hate that stuff.
Oh, I thought it was fun.
I loved my database classes on like database searching, which you wouldn't have had your class quite like this because that was back in the days. Again, I'm just going to pretend like an old lady. Back in the day when like you had to pay per search, like there was no.
Did you know that was a thing?
No.
I didn't know it was a thing either.
Yeah. So you would like pay for a database and then you'd go in and like per search you would have to. So it was good to be really good at putting together your and or parentheses
Your
like your
Boolean.
Yeah, you had to like put together your Boolean search, and they would have these competitions with the like classmates that they would have a set of articles in this database, and they had a specific one, like specific articles that they wanted you to pull, and you had to get the right group, like a small enough that like encompassed all of them. And I won that thing like twice.
That's amazing.
I was really good at it. I really enjoyed it. But now that's not really, now it's just Google. It's just like do as many searches as you want and they can be as crappy as you, it doesn't matter. It's a skill that,
Right.
sure, it wasn't
Do you think
as
that there's-
valuable as it was once.
So like 20 years from now, when it's AI powered everything, are people going to be sitting on a podcast and talking about like, well, back when it was just Google
We
and you just
called it
had to
Googling.
and call it Googling. You didn't just ask Jeeves. Do you remember Ask Jeeves?
Oh,
Anyone
yeah.
remember
Oh,
Ask
yeah.
Jeeves?
I was
That electronic butler.
adamantly against Google. I was a hotbot person. Yeah.
I don't either.
I know.
It does not sound like the kind of search engine one should be using in a public institution.
It was the best. And Yahoo had a really good directory. But like with Google, back in the day, there was no advertising.
Oh, right.
And so the thing was, you're like, you don't know where your results are coming. Like, where are they making money? Like, you don't know what the algorithm is behind it, where some of the others were a lot more upfront about where they were getting their money. So
Google may have been slightly more altruistic.
at that time,
Idealistic. Yeah.
probably.
We
Anyway.
don't need to make money from our search engine. Just kidding. We want to make all the money.
Do.
We want to make all the money.
all the money. Anyway, yeah, things have changed. And the classes have changed a little bit. But a lot of it is like there was some, like how to work with people. There's always reference question, like how to do a reference interview, how to talk to people. And kid comes in and says, I need like something random. And you have to ask a few questions to figure out what they actually need. Like I'm coming up
There was the
with
one
no
that
good examples.
the example was like, I want a book about China.
There you go.
But then it's not the country they want a book about. It's
The
dishes, which is like the classic example. But I don't know if any kid would want to
A book about
actually
dishes.
know about dishes. But
Maybe.
yeah,
I want to meet that kid. I want to meet the kid who is like eager for a book about porcelain versus stoneware.
I was going to say China patterns,
Yeah.
the late 18th century.
You know some weird kid.
Oh, for
I
sure.
mean, some amazing kid.
yeah.
So you were a part-time librarian while doing school. What was that experience like? And did you ever, this is a loaded question, and if it's a bad answer, we'll just cut it out. Did you feel like there were things that you learned in your classes that helped you as a librarian? Or like, did it just make it seem like, yes, this is worth going through, or sometimes you don't even know? Like, this assignment, you don't even know what it's like in a public library.
I think it was really helpful when I was interviewing to work at the library. Carla told me that, like, because I had already been accepted to grad school, and so I was like, I did things kind of backwards. And Carla was like, your school will be like so much more meaningful to you if you're working in a library. And I like kept thinking about that. And so like throughout my program, I was just like, wow, like this is so cool that I can just immediately like apply the things that I'm learning to my job. And oh, I lost my train of thought. What What was the second part of your question?
Oh boy, what was the second part of that convoluted question? I feel like, did it
seem relevant to what
did
you
it
were
seem
doing?
relevant, or were there things that were like, yeah, I'm doing this assignment, but this is not how it would fly, or...
Okay. So yeah, it was relevant to what I was doing, but I feel like there were things that I learned in my job that I was taking classes for that I didn't necessarily need to take a class for. So I did my concentration in youth services, and a lot of it was just like writing book reviews about children's books and things like that. And I was like, well, I'm already doing this. Like, I learned it as a librarian and not really from school. And so it felt kind of
Backwards,
but also like, I wish that I would have done a concentration in something other than youth services, because like I was getting that like practical knowledge from my job. I wish I would have tried something different, like archives or like cataloging, just so I like had more
like well-rounded,
yeah.
I think that's the other thing, like library school, there are lots of different classes and different emphasis, and you think of the librarian as the person sitting at the desk that's interacting with you, but you mentioned cataloging. There's a whole bunch of librarians that are cataloging in the back room, like making sure that the computers all say the right things, and a job like that would kill my soul really quickly. But there are people who like thrive on it because it's very structured, and they get to delve into the books, and like there's a lot of exciting things that they do that way, but it wasn't for me. And like archives is another thing that like a lot of people like, that's really exciting for them. I don't know how exciting I would find it. And so to think that there's only one kind of person that would find value in a library degree, like there's academic libraries, and like I have friends that are academic librarians, and whenever we talk about it, like our jobs are just so totally different. Like we just do such different things. And anyway, there are a lot of different kinds of librarians. There's lots of jobs. It teaches you so many different things that it can be actually valuable in a lot of different areas, not just in libraries. I really enjoyed my program, and I've enjoyed my career. Are you going to get one?
Oof. Do I want to go on the record?
No.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. I don't know. I already have a master's degree, but it's not in libraries science. So sometimes it makes a difference if you want to go places and do things.
I think another important part of library science degrees is to know that like any bachelor's degree, like you can take that and turn it into a master's degree. Like, I don't know if what I'm saying is making sense, but like there were people in my program with like history, English, education, like math, like all sorts of degrees. So there's not like, oh, if you like didn't do your undergrad like
in English.
There are a lot of English ones, but like mine is finance is my undergrad, and
elementary ed.
Yeah, and we have lots of art history. We have some geography. We had a couple of archaeology majors for a while. It kind of just draws in a lot of different people.
Yeah,
which is fun too.
It's cool. Yeah, because there's like so many different backgrounds and ideas, and
that kind of actually leads a little bit into the last question, which is it difficult to get a librarian job? One of the things that, as we were talking about all these different degrees, I thought of is that I feel like we actually have a lot of people for whom librarianship was not their initial plan, not Carla.
Well,
was that
going to be an accountant?
Ooh.
Well, yeah.
Sorry, I'm throwing a lot of shade at CPAs today.
My tax class made me change my mind. But yeah.
And I mean, I studied film, so this was not my final destination, I didn't think.
You were going to be a teacher.
I was a teacher.
You were a teacher.
Yes. And then I became a librarian.
We've got a couple of those.
Yes.
I feel like sometimes librarianship is like I want to try something different. How can I still help people seems to be, or how can I stay immersed in this thing in one way?
Like learning and service and
Yeah.
like all of those kinds of
For
things.
me, I was like, I want a job where I can like still wear my Christmas sweaters and my Halloween costume, my Hogwarts robes. Because
Boy,
like,
howdy,
I
did you
loved
get
that about teaching. Yeah. And
You came to the right place.
I did.
did,
I know
yeah.
that was actually one of the questions I asked like in my interview. I was like, can we wear costumes? And Joella was like, yeah.
Yeah.
Should we be honest and say that right before we started recording this podcast, we maybe were Googling fairy fanny packs?
We were. Not hot-botting.
Not
Fairy.
hot-botting. I know. That was never going to work. That was a bad... But I couldn't trust Google. Okay, we're not going to go into that.
Is it difficult to get a librarian job? The short answer is actually kind of yes.
Yeah, it is. It's hard to break in and it's hard to get full-time work. About, I think it's at least 60% of librarian positions are part-time. And so a lot of times people have to start there. So like here at our library, some librarians are part-time librarians for 6 to 10 years before a full-time job opens up. And then you think about the people who are just trying to jump in. Like it's a hard thing to switch careers into libraries because you probably still need to maintain a full-time job and to go from full-time doing something else to full-time librarian. That's really, really hard.
Yeah.
So to work in libraries, like if you have a degree, if you have the master's degree, it definitely gets you interviews and that, but you kind of have to build up that experience, which can be hard.
Yeah. But you can also like volunteer to get that experience too. But I would say it's really difficult to just get a full-time job. Just
At least here.
Here
Yeah.
for sure.
Yesterday.
probably Salt Lake County too.
Yeah. Yesterday in a program, I was talking to someone who just got hired at Orem, and we were like swapping, like, oh, do you know this person? And like, I said, like, actually, a lot of us in this area know each other fairly well because we have a lot of part-time staff who do time at
Jump
multiple
around. They work
libraries.
at both places. There's a lot of that.
At one point, one of our people who's now full-time here was, I think, working at all 3 libraries
At the same
at
time.
the same time.
Oh my goodness.
Celeste. Oh, wow. So,
I
yeah.
got really lucky.
Well,
We
you
were
know,
really lucky.
Yeah.
it's good. Okay. We keep saying this isn't going to be that long.
I know.
And here,
But it's fascinating.
it's fascinating.
It's fascinating.
Should we talk about books?
Let's talk about
Any
books.
final?
Did we answer all of our
I
questions?
have one
we
more
did.
thing I want to
kind of
say.
said how much. I kind of said how much
It costs.
it cost 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But what was like the range when you were looking? Do you remember?
I don't remember. I know that I paid $19,000 and I did get some scholarships. I think I ended up like $17,000 out of pocket. But I know there's like
30 to 40. Like
expensive
it's
programs.
yeah. There's some really
But
good programs that are expensive and online and in person.
Yeah. I would say like, I mean, I'm very cheap, but like a degree is a degree, you know? So
And you
it's
felt like you had a good education.
yeah,
You
I had a
learned lot
great,
of really good
great
things.
experience. And like when I was doing the math, I'm like, okay, I now make like $2 more an hour because I have my master's degree. So working full time, I'll be working for like 4.5 years before I like break even, you know, to make that money back. So I don't know if it's worth like an expensive school, but
Depending on what you want to do with it.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Cool.
yeah.
Final
Yes.
thoughts about things?
Library schools?
Library schools before we talk about books?
Yeah.
Okay. We'll let Mariah go first. Did you know we were
Yeah.
going to ask you what you read?
No, but I can talk about it. I'm always ready.
Yeah. A library ever ready.
My favorite book that I've read recently, I actually haven't finished. I'm in the middle of the Book of Doors. I can't even remember who the author is, but
I literally just looked it up yesterday.
yeah,
and put it
you
on
did.
hold.
You did.
don't
And
remember
my audiobook returned itself, and I know it was a good book because like I can't stop thinking about it, and I'm like, I have to know what happens next. So
She's put it on hold in all the formats.
yeah. So whatever comes first, I'll read it and finish it. So hopefully it's a good ending, because I actually don't know if it's good. But so far, it's really enjoyable.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Excellent.
You?
I just finished, I had her write it down for me, The Wedding People by Allison Espatch. Yeah. I think I described it to someone as a man called Uve.
Uva.
This is like a running thing on this
Seriously.
podcast. This is probably at least the fourth time.
Oh,
Uva.
Uva.
man called Uva. Named? Okay, now I don't even know. Anyways, only it's a romance, and it's this girl this woman, her husband cheats on her. She just finished a couple rounds of IVF that were unsuccessful. Like, things are not going well. She's in a depressed state and decides that she's done. But she wants to go out on a happy note. So she goes to this hotel that is like her dream. She's always wanted to go to this super fancy hotel. So she goes there. She takes her cat tranquilizers with her because she doesn't want to make a mess when she kills herself. And they book her a room, but they shouldn't have, because the whole hotel, the whole resort is reserved for this really expensive 6-day wedding. And so 6-day wedding. And that's what everyone there says too. 6-day wedding. Anyway, so she goes and she quickly becomes entangled in the drama of this wedding, and it is delightful. It was so cute. It was just, I loved the characters. They were extremely flawed and delightful, and it ended happy. And
I feel like I always love like loner finds community book.
yes.
Like, it's so,
Yes.
Yeah.
And this one just, I mean, the one I said previously that I'm going to say wrong again, so I'm not going to say the title, about the man.
Uva.
Like, there wasn't really any romance in it, but this just has this like just delightful romance to it. That's
nice.
so cute. And it's chick lit.
very good.
With
At
some
its
romance.
best.
At its
Yeah.
best.
That's
There you
great.
go.
I just finished The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year by Allie Carter.
Sounds like a confession when you say it like that.
I just committed The Most Wonderful Crime of the Year. No, and even though like it's a Christmas book and I read it in February, it did not need to be a Christmas book. I think it's just a Christmas book so that they can have that punny title. But I did not know that Row mystery was a genre, and now I want all of them. Like, because it's a romance mystery, like a rom-com and a mystery. The banter is great, and it's like these writers are brought to this secluded English estate, and it's filled with people, and they're going to get snowed in, and then someone disappears, and so they're like, it's all of the locked room mystery kinds of things, but then there's like an enemies to lovers component, except also secret pining. Like, you didn't even know. And there's like twists and turns along the way, and it was just delightful. And now I've put several Allie Carter books on hold. I haven't read anything by Allie Carter before.
That was your first one?
That was my first one. Yeah, I know that a lot of people love the Gallagher Girls series and stuff, so that's probably going to be my next, like, let's read everything by this author, and then I'll rank them definitively.
Kind of a bingey reader.
I am a bingey reader. That is a good way to describe me.
It's not a bad
Reader
to be.
I'll take that.
Yeah.
I'll make myself a sticker.
Bingey reader.
Bingey reader. I'm a book binger. It's good. Okay, I think that's us for today, Mariah. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
And we'll see you next time.